G'day everybody, how are you going today? It is so good to see you and welcome to Brandon Talbot from Utah. How are you, Brandon?
What's up? How's it going, Matt? How are you, buddy?
I am very, very well. Now, Brandon, I found your channel a few years ago when you were talking about RED cameras, and now you've
Mm-hmm.
moved to the Nikon ZR camera as well. So you are deep. You are up to your armpits in camera gear, and you and I are both massive camera nerds, aren't we? I would say
Yeah.
that we love our gear, but we also love getting out in the field and shooting. So.
Mm-hmm.
Today this is going to be a chat with a humble gentleman who lives in the hills of Utah, which I think all of it's hilly, isn't it? Like, are you actually in Salt Lake City? Is that what you said before?
Yeah, I don't know if we would call them hills, more mountains,
Oh,
but yeah,
oh yeah, sure.
I've got a big one right
Sorry.
behind my house. It's okay.
What is your elevation above sea level?
I think we're right around 4,600 feet.
Oh gosh, feet. Now I have to translate that. So that is
Sorry,
that's
boss,
like
just shy of a mile.
1,500 meters. Well, that makes it easier.
Yeah.
1,500. Just shy of a mile is 1,500 meters. Yes, I did well. So it
Yeah.
must be cold there all the time. So I'd like to say welcome
No.
to everybody that's here. We've already got 16 people with us, which is absolutely fantastic. We've got 6 likes.
Let's go.
Please make sure that you're asking us lots of questions because we love questions. And I've lost my question tab here. It's around here somewhere. Now,
Lives are way
Brandon,
more fun with questions.
yeah. Now, Brandon, I wanted to start with how did you
Mm-hmm.
end up in the YouTube photography space? Now, everybody, to let you know, Brandon's got a channel. It's heading towards 30,000 subscribers. He's got some amazing content. We're going to talk about his adventure to the Arctic Circle, far northern Canada, where he took the RED Komodo and the ZR. He gets lots of amazing cinema lenses. He shoots Leica. He's got a bit of everything. How did you end up
Mm-hmm.
here 4 years ago? That seems to be your oldest video in this space.
Yeah, I actually came from like the fitness training background. I was a personal
Yes.
trainer, corrective exercise specialist, and I played beach volleyball for a living. Towards the end of that, I moved away from personal training into like group online training. So I was starting to get online, and then this is kind of an interesting story. I'll try to keep it as short as I possibly can. Right before COVID happened, so like the end of 2019, the start of 2020, I had this weird dream where in my bedroom I had basically removed my bed and I had turned it into a YouTube studio because I was kind of like toying with the idea of doing YouTube. And I woke up and I was like, that's so dumb. Like, why would you get rid of your bed and make a YouTube studio? But then it was like, why don't you? And so with less than 400 subscribers, I just went, screw it. I'm not training anymore. I'm just going to do YouTube full time. Like the most foolhardy decision ever. But I built this studio that I kind of had in my head. And I've always been into tech. And so my channel was very much, let's take the higher education I have in the physical fitness industry and how do we merge it with tech? Like, how do I use technology to improve my health and fitness? And grew that channel over about 4 years to about 40,000 people. But at that point, I had been talking about fitness for over 20 years and
Right.
I kind of just got burnt out. But while trying to make my channel, trying to separate my channel from everybody else in that niche, I turned to YouTube to help me understand photography and cinematography to make my channel look better. And I just kind of fell in love with it. I picked up a camera to shoot my friends at jujitsu. Like, it would be really cool if we had photos of us doing jujitsu because that just wasn't a thing. And I just got addicted to it. I would carry it with me everywhere. I'd shoot photos as much as I possibly could. And it kind of, I really started finding myself like looking for excuses to get out and shoot, go out in the woods and shoot, like just take it anywhere I could. And then last year, I kind of made up my mind that I was like, you know what? I'm going to roll the dice and do this again and just go as hard as I can in the photography space and not do the fitness tech thing anymore.
And I remember watching a video where you said, I know I said I'm going to start a photography channel, but the ZR's come out and the ZR is, you know, obviously getting a lot of attention. So I'm going to be focusing on the ZR. So tell me now that the journey has gone even further, that you've taken the ZR to the Arctic Circle. You've taken it to, what was it? Minus
Not
34
quite
degrees?
that high.
Oh, sorry. The Arctic.
No,
not the
it's
Arctic
okay.
Circle. Yeah, yeah. I'm not an expert.
Yeah. No, go ahead.
Oh yeah, so you've ended up taking, and this is where we're going to get nerdy, everybody. So here we go. We're diving in. I believe you reached out to Nikon, and you had a Z mount Komodo X as well as the ZR, as well as some cool lenses like the 400 4.5, and I believe I've got to jealously talk to you about the 24 to 72.8 version 2. Tell us what happened, what you were shooting, why you were shooting. There were dog sleds, there was gimbals, there was almost falling off the back of a dog sled.
Well, first of all, the ZR really is just like being in the right place at the right time. I've been a big red shooter since I've kind of like started YouTube, and I've been using it as like my main camera for the last, almost 6 years, since the OG Komodo came out. And I personally was pretty gutted when they were bought out by Nikon. And my friend Kyle Meshna, who's in Utah, has also shot a bunch of stuff for Nikon. And he basically was like, hey man, there's like a new camera coming out from Nikon that's supposed to have red stuff in it. Are you interested to come and shoot like some BTS for me? And I was like, hell yeah. Like, I want to see this thing that I've been hearing about. And it just, at the time, I had been doing a ton of like travel photography and filmmaking, and taking a Monstro or taking a KX. Those are big, heavy cameras. And if I'm going on like a 10-mile hike up the side of a mountain, those are just kind of hard to bring. And so at the time, I was like, I'm looking for a camera that can give me that quality of an image, but in a much smaller package. And the ZR just happened to come out. So I gravitated to the ZR, as you know. Wasn't a conscious decision to make a ton of content on it, but I had it and I was having fun with it. And then, as you know, if something clicks on YouTube, it just kind of like drives things. And this is where it ties into the Arctic. So me and Kofi have been two people that have loved the ZR. We've done a ton of videos on it. And there is a camera store in Canada called Excellent Photo. Shout out to Excellent Photo. And they asked Kofi to direct a series of documentaries, one in each province of Canada.
Wow.
And the first two were sponsored and kind of budgeted by Nikon and RED Canada. And somehow my name came up. They're like, the RED Nikon guy, and Kofi's like, oh, he's a friend, I can get him. And they're like, seriously? And so we found ourselves out in the Northwest Territories, which isn't the furthest north territory in Canada. None of it is a little bit higher, goes almost all the way into Greenland. A little farther north, that's the one that goes up into the Arctic Circle. But yeah, we made our way to Yellowknife, which is the capital of the Northwest Territories, and we were there for about 9 days shooting a documentary on dog sledding. And then we went to the Yukon Territories. We went to Whitehorse, which I think is the capital of that territory. And then we did a documentary on the Arctic Games. And yeah, so because it was sponsored by RED Nikon, we had a Raptor X, we had a bunch of ZRs. I reached out to RED and I was like, listen, I'm really interested in using the Z mount because Nikon is giving us a whole bunch of glass and I would love to try it on this camera. And they were kind enough to send it my way. So yeah, that's what we had gear wise.
Unbelievable. it's an amazing story. So and the temperature, am I right in saying you said it was something like minus 34? Is that correct? Was it that cold?
Oh, it was colder. The
Yes. Oh
first
my God.
day that we landed, well, I landed,
Yep.
they were telling us, you know, it's negative 41 outside. Be careful, like don't stay outside. And the pilot was telling us that it was negative 55 in Whitehorse, and they weren't actually allowed to fly. I was like, holy
Wow.
crap, man. But there, yeah, that first day was pretty rough. There were days where it was technically warmer, but because of wind chill, it felt so much colder. And there was a day towards the very end where we went out on a lake called Marsh Lake, and it was brutally cold. So yeah, good times trying
I'm
to deal with it.
I'm just showing a little bit of your video. What's the best video to show the territory that you were actually in? I'm just looking at Intro
Ooh.
to Arctic episode 8. If we were to, that's just
Yeah.
running while you talk. Where would you send me?
That's it. That playlist. The funny thing is like I saw that half of them are privatized. They're private, so I
Oh,
gotta unlock them. I gotta make them public. But
yeah.
episodes
Make them
5,
public.
6, 7, and 8 are available.
Okay, let me find. There you are. There you are next to some sort of tent. It's called
Yeah,
Into the
I
Arctic,
think
episode
number
4, Devastating News. What's going on in Devastating News? Oh, we've got to watch an ad first. Damn it.
you
Let me,
gotta watch it. I'm not gonna tell you the crux of that.
Okay, yeah, very good. Well, we'll just get some footage in the background whilst you're talking. So you made the video where you said, look, I should have only taken one of these cameras. Also, I have to say a comment from Cam Mackey. Talbot is a beast. I think most of us would have called it quits in the Arctic. So that's fantastic to have you here, Cam. And there you go. That's quite a compliment.
What's up, buddy?
I mean, minus 41. Is this Fahrenheit or centigrade, or is it? You were saying it's much the same at that point.
They
Yeah.
equal. I like on the chart. Negative 40 is where they cross up, and then it kind of inverts.
Yeah.
But
So that's bananas
I
cold.
mean, at that point, it becomes it is no longer that wet bone chilling cold. It's painful. It'll make you rethink life decisions. And
Yeah, that's right.
it's so cold and it gets through so fast that you really do have to be pretty cognizant and much more purposeful in how you dress and what you take with you. You can't just like run out the door and go get some shots. Because
Gotcha.
especially like your hands, the cameras get way colder than the outside temp, like they have contact cold. And so there are times where I'm like literally carrying the camera in my arms like this, because even with really thick mitts that are made for like alpine mountaineering, I couldn't touch the camera, or it would come through the gloves, and there was no way to get warm after that.
Yep. And so you had the Komodo and you had the ZR, and ultimately the ZR, it's not designed for minus 40, which is not a surprise when it's a $2,500 US camera. What sort of temperature did you say it became unusable? Was it minus 20 or?
I think it was good till right around negative 15. And that's where you would start running into like issues. So I think most cameras, they have the safe operating temperature. And I think the vast majority of cameras fall within that 0 to 40 and Celsius. And that's like safe. But most cameras are like, you can operate them beyond that. And I think it did fine until about negative 10, negative 15. And that's when you started running into LCD issues. And then beyond that, that's where I would have like just button issues, like buttons stopped working and that sort of thing, where the camera really became more of a detriment than anything else. I don't fault it. Like you said, it's a $2,200 camera. I pushed it way outside of its limits, but that was what we were there to do.
Yeah. And so the Komodo just kept going. And so it was the Komodo X Z mount version, which is probably the same, is it, as the RF version internally. It had no problem with the cold. It didn't matter what you threw at it by the sound of it.
The LCD would go, but the top-mounted LCD always worked. So, I mean, there was one night where nothing survived. It was like the third or the fourth night, and we're filming the dog sledding. It is crazy cold, and they end up putting us on a toboggan behind the sled. So not the dog sled, but an actual snowmobile. And they put us in there. And so I've got my KX, big monitor, and they start going. And it's just snow and sleet being caked onto you. And it just froze the
Wow.
camera. I
Wow.
couldn't see anything. My face is just getting blasted with, minus 40 ice. And it was
Wow.
just painful. You were just like, I literally got out my DJI Action 6, which was the best camera there. And I just like
Wow.
ducked my head, turned
Yep.
it on, did what I could. But when I got back to the car, I show it in the video. The whole camera has been completely frozen over. It's just like a block of ice. The mount iced
It's
over,
an
the
ice block.
lens iced over.
Wow.
Yeah.
And
That was rough. Nothing's gonna survive that.
yeah, and they're not weather sealed, are they? So how do you survive that side of things?
No, it's not weather sealed. And I was really lucky that I ran into a guy. We have a thing here in Utah called Photo X, and it's at our local camera store.
Yep.
And I wasn't planning on going. I went to say hi to some friends, and I ended up at one of the panel speakers. And he was a guy that would summit Everest and film documentaries. And I was like, this is amazing. Like, what great timing.
Wow.
And his name is
Yeah.
Mark, and I got to talk to him, and he was super helpful about like, this is the kind of clothing you want to take and how to layer. And then when we got to the cameras, he was like, going from warm to cold is fine. Going from cold to warm is like, this is the hard part. This is the bad thing. So he kind of helped me figure out how to like get the camera cold, keep the camera cold. With the Komodo, you've got to let it get to temperature, and that takes a little while, 5 to 10 minutes when you're out there. And then you need to black shade it because you don't want your blacks or your pixels going all funky. And so there were just things that you had to think about, but the hardest thing was not being so cold yourself. And it's like, oh, there's a warm cabin, a reprieve from the cold. If you went in there, your lens frosted over, fogged over, and it's not just like the frost or the fog, those will eventually go away, but the contraction and expansion of the metal, and then you get condensation in there. So you would honestly just leave your bag out in the cold and let things stay cold, and you kept them
Mm.
cold. And so when you eventually went back to the hotel, you kept everything in that cold bag. And after, hours and hours and hours, you would wake up and the camera was like fine. There was no condensation. There are better ways to go about it, but that was like this was my crash course in like Arctic documentary filmmaking. So I have a
Right.
better handle on it now that I've come back and spoke to some other people. But everything survived. Everything was fine. Like the ZR works perfectly fine. The KX works perfectly fine. The Atlas let me borrow some Mercuries for the project. Those were probably the things I was worried the most about. Like, I guess cinema lenses have issues out in the cold, and they were great. No issues.
Amazing. And how long were you away for?
I was gone for 10 days because I had a project here that I had to come back for. Kofi and David from Excellent Photo were there for another 2 days in Yukon. So Kofi was out there for, I was like 12, 13 days.
Amazing. And I presume you've thawed out by now. How long ago was
Yeah.
that actually?
Oh, man. Let's see. I flew home on the 11th.
Of March.
Yeah, and then I was a cam up on a feature film like the next day. So I flew home. I had like 12
nice.
hours off, and then I flew out to LA for that.
Oh, fantastic. I didn't know you shot features on the side. What do they make you shoot the features on?
It was just a random thing. I don't like, it's not something that I would put on my resume because that's not like
Okay.
what I do. It was just a really cool opportunity. Somebody like the agency that represents me was like, hey, do you want to be a cam op on a feature, like a big set? And being on bigger sets and doing like set photography is something that I am like actively pursuing. So I jumped at the chance, and it was
Yeah,
super
amazing.
cool, really cool.
Yeah. That's awesome. And what sort of gear were they shooting on that set? What were you operating?
So, but we just ran 2 cameras. They were both
Yep.
FX6s.
Yep.
Being a cam operator on a set that big is is a pretty interesting job. As you know, when you do YouTube, you do everything.
Yeah.
And the set life, especially if it's like a union project, is very different. You have a job, you do your job, you don't do anybody else's job. Like, it's actually
Yeah.
frowned upon. Like, oh, that light needs to be moved. I'll go. No, you sit your butt down
No.
and you just wait. So there was a lot of downtime, which is weird. And in that downtime, Leica lent me a camera and some lenses for the Arctic trip, and I still had them. So I was like, I'm just gonna go shoot like BTS, and everybody was pretty cool with it.
Man, that's cool. Now, am I right in that I picked up that you took the new 24 to 72.8 to the Arctic, and how did it survive?
Yeah, it's my lens. I bought
Yes.
that lens. I love that
Nice.
lens. It's definitely the best 24 to 70 I own. I don't think I used it until the last day. We had, for me, it was kind of like, hey, if I have the opportunity to vlog or if I need it, I have it. But we had made the conscious decision to shoot anamorphic on that documentary. So it just kind of like sat in the background. But the last day I was there, we shot the Arctic games, and that's in the Yukon. It's like in a big indoor facility where they can do speed skating and like a bunch of different like Arctic sports. And so that was like the opportunity where I got to use the ZR and autofocus in the 24 to 70. And as you know, it's such a good lens.
Yep. Yeah, the reason I asked is it's because it's the only sealed 24 to 70 around, and so obviously it will survive those Arctic conditions, and, you know, sideways rain and snow and sleet and everything else really well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure it would have done fine. We had a Z9 that the sound person was also kind of directed with taking stills, and that's all she used pretty much was like a 24 to 70 and a 70 to 200 on the Z9, and she didn't have any issues. That thing is pretty bomb proof, honestly.
Yeah, the Z9s are incredible cameras. So you said earlier that Nikon bought Red. You were a little bit upset. That was 2 years ago now. How do you feel 2 years later with the journey that you've been on?
There are parts of the old Red that I definitely miss. It's not every day that the CEO will hop on a live stream and answer your questions and be a direct line to like what you need and go,
Yep.
hey, this is what we really want. And 2 weeks later, you have an update that gives that to you. I liked kind of the random ass punk rock way that they did things sometimes, but they were a very small company and they were able to pivot really fast when they wanted to. I know a lot of people hate the branding. I love the branding. It always resonated with me for whatever reason. It was just like, hey, we're the redheaded stepchild of like all of these huge Japanese manufacturers. We're just going to do things our way. Some of those things I definitely miss. But the future in which you have a company like Nikon and you can partner up to have autofocus in something that's like a Raptor X, you know, on the Z9 type of level. Like, there are a lot of upsides having Nikon buying Red. my biggest concern was like, is Nikon just gonna absorb Red, eat it up, and it's gone as we know it? And thankfully that hasn't been the case, and I'm almost positive it's not going to be the case. Like, they're going to continue to operate as separate entities, but share technology, which we all get a benefit from.
Yeah, well, look, the CEO of the new CEO and the previous Jared, they both came out and said, you know, that Red is going to remain independent, like the robotics company. And I think the fact that we've had pretty significant firmware coming to some of the Red cameras, like there's been a new one for the Raptor, which I think has been very well received. That's in beta at the moment. It's got some really high-end tweaks, which are very impressive. The addition of the Z mount. And also, what do you think of the mid-priced, the Raptor they brought out where they reduced a little bit of the spec, but it's still got that global 8K sensor, and it's like half the price now. Like, that's an unbelievable buy, right?
Yeah, it's probably Red's best value ever at
Mm.
retail, right?
Yep. And yeah, so for me, I feel like if they can bring that global 8K sensor to a broader audience, and then, will we actually see some of that global technology overflow into the cameras? And
Mm-hmm.
will a Z9 III? I doubt a Z9 II, but will a Z9 III or something have a version of that sensor that's continued to be tweaked and advanced? Obviously, Nikon's got
I'd
much
love that.
larger economies of scale. I mean, how bananas would that be if you
Yeah.
could get that? And I mean, I've never used that camera. I've had a chance to play with the Komodo X. Tell me, they talk about it having very high dynamic range. Is it really
Yeah.
as good as they say? Because it's global,
Oh,
it's
for sure.
8K,
Yeah.
and it's got dynamic range to burn.
It's got the dynamic range boost, which is kind of nutty, and that's where it gets into that like wild, like, hey, you're 6 stops over, but you're fine kind of territory.
Yes,
Uh Everything nowadays has good enough dynamic range. It's really hard to find a
agreed.
camera that doesn't have like good dynamic range. Like people would complain about the ZR not having good dynamic range because one single test came out, and it's like, go use the damn thing. Like
I
it
agree.
has gobs of dynamic range if you understand how to expose the camera. I'm As we discussed earlier, like in the little pre-live, like I'm using a Red Monstro. That thing has a wild amount of dynamic range and image quality, and the ZR gets pretty darn close. So yeah, the Raptor X is an unbelievable feat of like imaging technology. And I was actually talking to Jared, and we were talking about the ZR, and he was like, it would be pretty cool if we could put a Raptor X sensor in that camera. I was like, dude, it would melt in like 30 seconds, but it would be cool.
If one man's going to try, it's him. I also want the Michael
Yeah.
Bay version of the ZR. That's what I want with
Yeah, the
his.
neon
How,
green Bayhem is pretty rad.
how is it that he get? I mean, well, of course I know how, because he's Michael Bay, and Michael Bay,
Yeah.
it just is. So I had a great question, and it's gone
Just not to
completely out of my
interrupt
head.
you,
Oh
but I'm
yes,
going
yeah,
to.
go.
If you didn't know this, if you have enough money, Red will basically build you whatever you want. Like they
Oh,
have a
nice.
customs division. If you go in there with a crazy idea, like you don't just want a new paint scheme, but you want like a new body and like they'll make it for you, but it will cost you many
Well,
zeros.
I think we need the BAMPOD version of the Raptor VV. Yeah, so I was gonna. You talked about how one test came out and suddenly the ZR was a bad camera. How do you when you're, and this is something that happens to me, but I'd like someone else's take
Yeah.
on it. When you're actually using gear and it's like, it's working fine, it's doing everything I need to do. I know my craft. I know how to get a result. And then you get these tests come
Mm-hmm.
out, and then you get every second YouTuber going, "Oh, the ZR's no good," and you think to yourself, "Well, but that's A, not my experience. B, that's when you're a professional, you actually your goal is to get the best shot, not to get the worst shot and try and fix it." So what's your
Yeah.
reaction? How do you feel like you've got to stand up there and say something about it, or does it just roll off your back, or
No.
what's your
No.
think?
I mean,
What's your thoughts?
like I'm gonna make videos on it, and if you like the way the videos look, then they stand on their own. If you don't,
Exactly.
then whatever. But it's not my job to like try to convince people that something's good. I think a lot of people buy gear, and let's be honest, gear is expensive. As good of a value as the ZR is, $2,200 right now is a lot of money for people.
Mm,
Like that
mm.
that's a lot of money for some people. And I think people that spend that amount of money like want to make sure that their purchase was a good one. And sometimes they will do and say whatever they need to like make sure that they're justified in their purchase. I think some people do that, but yeah, it's not my job. Like I'm totally secure. Like I don't have an insecurity issue to where somebody would be like, "Well, the dynamic range sucks." I'm okay, then it sucks. If you say it has 12 stops, then it has 12 stops. I don't care because I'm going to go out and I'm going to use it. And I personally like the way it looks. So if it was 4 on paper or 64 on paper, I don't care. I like the camera. I use the camera on a near daily basis. So numbers don't really mean anything to me.
Hallelujah. I totally agree with what you're saying. I mean, I tell you what, a phenomenon that's been interesting to me is that there was the ZR wave, and there was so many people who bought it, then found a few things to complain about, and then sold it. And I'm like, what are you doing? This is just BS.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, like, if the ZR really was like not a great camera for me, of course I would return it or I'd sell it. But I had already had experience with it and I knew what I was getting into, and buying the one, I was like, this thing is awesome. I need a second one. So yeah, I have a bunch of stuff where people would probably be like, that's such a dumb camera. Why do you own that? And I go, because I love it. Like, I don't care what anybody else thinks. Like, it does the job that I need it to do. And I use it. I am not a pro by any means. Nobody's like paying me huge sums of money to be on assignment, to where maybe the thing I have is probably not the best tool. And if that was the case, then I would just rent the thing I need.
I love it. I love this, just real world talk here. It's circling back to exactly what I've talked about for years. Is it's all about use case. If it meets your use case and you can get the result that you're happy with, then you're there. That's all there is to it. Now, Jay Blue, and there's so many people in the chat, and I would love to say thank you for you all being here, and hi. And we've got our first QQQ, which we'll get to in a second. If anyone has some questions for the amazing Brandon Talbot from Utah,
no
questions for him.
Just a guy.
Just a guy. He's just a guy. Well, we're both just guys, and everybody out there is just guys. We're all the same, but you've had some amazing experiences. Maybe I can put it that way. But Jay Blue has just said, I saw today that Nikon is selling MRMC to a private equity firm. Well, that's interesting. I'll have to do a deep dive into that. So that's the robotics company that they bought maybe, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago.
Oh, okay. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Yeah, I can't see that happening with Red because they're already integrating things. But
no, that was definitely a long-term play. That would be that like to sell Red before you actually really got to use the Red name to like get that foot in the door that you so desperately want. That just seems like shooting yourself in the foot there.
Yeah. It's not going to happen. We're not starting a rumor here, but it is interesting to see that they've sold that robotics division. And you know, I don't think it stands out and is not as iconic as the Red brand and the Red name and the foot in the door, which is exactly what you're saying.
Is the robotics division the motion control? Is that what that was?
Yes.
Oh, that is interesting.
Yeah.
I
mean, we should perhaps double check that. I'm not that I'm saying Jay's not right, but Nikon selling MRMC. Anyway,
there's smart people at Nikon. They know more than we do, so there's got to be a good reason for them doing it if they did.
Yeah. My guess would be that robotics is becoming so ubiquitous, and it's probably becoming something that it's harder to have, technology that everybody can't just copy. Basically, that would be my guess.
Yeah.
Anyway, we've got a question from Benjamin. Benjamin, how are you? Fantastic to have you. This is for you, Brendan. Some cinematic cameras have attachable EVFs. Is there a good electronic viewfinder that works for the ZR? Oh. I know one that I like.
I think there's a brand called, I can't remember if this is the model or the brand, but it's Chameleon, and I do believe they make an HDMI version of that EVF. That's pretty much the only one off the top of my head that I can think of, but it is something like after I got back from the Arctic, because it just seemed like the smaller the screen, the more reliable it was. I would have really liked to have an EVF while I was out there on the ZR. If there could be like a smart shoe EVF, I would pick one up in a heartbeat.
Yes. So I was trying to get from this company here.
Zacuto.
We did.
Thank you. Mad Pony.
That's another one.
Zacuto.
Okay. Another one that I was looking at is a company called Kinfinity.
Oh
Kinfinity.
yeah, 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 yeah.
And
They're
they make
Eagle.
what
They
look,
make a Eagle
yeah,
something.
yes, the Eagle HDMI viewfinder, and
There you go.
I'll get back in contact with them because I'm trying to make a video to include that and show. But they look like a really well made thing, and it's probably one of the cheaper ones that are at, I think around 1,500 US, which sounds like a lot, but it's a very high quality piece of kit. So
Yeah.
yeah, there are a few different companies out
I
there
would
that do it.
love if Nikon could allow us, because I have like the oh, just a second.
Yeah,
Excuse
do
my
it.
reach. That'd be
Do it.
hilarious
Do it.
if I wasn't wearing pants and then it was
That
like,
would be
oh
great.
shit, I forgot. So I have like the DSMC2, the Bomb EVF.
Oh,
This thing's pretty
yes.
cool because even though it's older, you can put it on the new Reds, the DSMC3 line. It'd be cool if they could figure out a way to integrate that into the ZR. I wish they could do something like that.
What's
But
the
these are
interface
great,
on
man.
that?
Well, on the DSMC2, it's just a pin. It's these pins that go in there. What's so great about the
Okay.
DSMC2, like the monitor is completely cableless, and you can either attach it where the monitor typically goes, or you can put it on the side where the EVF goes, or you can run both at the same time. But there's no cable. You just stick it in and screw it down and screw it to the body, and then you have a feed that goes through it. On DSMC3, there's a piece that goes across the top and a limo cable that you use to attach it, if I remember right. But yeah,
So they just need
these
an
things
adapter.
are really handy. What's up?
They just need an adapter.
Yeah, yeah. It'd be great if we could
And
get something like that.
because those viewfinders are pretty pricey, aren't they?
Um, I want to say I picked mine up for about 1,200, and that is a
Oh, that's
lot of
good.
money. But like Red has like a more professional one that's around 4 grand, and then there
Mm-hmm.
are EVFs that dwarf that when you get into like the really high end, cinema stuff. I
Yep.
think the Airy EVF is like wicked expensive.
Yep. All right. So we've had a few people tell us that the sale is real, and
Yeah,
Nikon has a press release which it says the transfer of Mark Roberts Motion Control Limited.
that's right.
Nikon announced that it has entered into a share purchase agreement, an entity established by Blandford Capital regarding Mark Roberts Motion Control Limited as follows. What are they doing here? Sorry, I'm reading. I'm reading this
No,
on the
that's
live,
okay.
on the run. But this time, Nikon has reconsidered. Nikon has reconsidered its business portfolio. As a result, Nikon has concluded the transferring of all shares. Okay, there you go.
Mm-hmm.
That's it.
Interesting.
So thank you so much, Jay Blue, for letting us know that, and Moz for letting me know. So this is on Nikon's Nikon Japan's news website. So there it is.
Okay.
That's a real deal. I absolutely do not think that this will happen with Red, and I want to be emphatic about that. I do not think it will happen with 100%. Do not think.
Well, I'm speaking on behalf of Red and Nikon at NAB, so I hope it doesn't happen before then. That would be weird.
No,
I
no, no,
don't
no,
think
no.
it's happening.
It's not going to happen.
I don't think it's happening at all.
The party has only just begun. We're
Yeah.
aware that I mean, how are you excited about the idea of Nikon cinema lenses? Like, they've made cinema lenses for others in the past, and plenty of their lenses are rehoused. Are you excited? I'm
Yeah.
excited.
For sure. I love lenses. The more I get into this, the less I get excited about cameras, the more I really kind of like a geek out over lenses. Nikon cinema lenses sound like a lot of fun, depending on where they pull from. If they're pulling from some of their fabled, older lenses, yes, I could definitely get behind that. I don't think they'll go the clean route. I mean, it would probably make more sense to just make cinema versions of lenses that they already own. But it would also be kind of interesting to see if they can integrate maybe some technology like Sigma's doing with their autofocus cinema lenses or something like that. Yeah, I'm excited for it. I think it's needed. I would love to try them out, whatever they are.
Yeah, look, my absolute gut feeling is new designs. My guess would be around T1.4s, and they will be Ts. As I've chatted with Bobby, we reckon it would be good if they made them like, you know, fully cogged up and manual control as well as being autofocus. And I'd love to see them include some of what Tamron's doing. I'm wanting to get my hands on that little Tamron USB control unit, which allows you to put in focus distances and just do some other kind of quirky things. I mean, we now have the focus limiter in software, so that's kind of there anyway.
I don't know if they would need to do that, at least on the RED side. I don't know if you knew this. On the RED side, in the RED control app, you can literally set your focus points. You can just go in and rotate the lens and set a focus point. You can do a ton of them and pull. You could do the same thing with your iris if you wanted to. So maybe through the protocol of the mount, you wouldn't need to, but you might have to on like a normal like hybrid mirrorless camera.
Yeah, well, it has been suggested that the Z mount, which has a lot more pins than the F mount, is still not using all of its capacity yet, and we're all wondering what that means. And I mean, if you think about it, electricity travels at the speed of light, so even if you had the same number of pins, you could probably have just a faster conversation, if that makes any sense. Me getting into the nerdy computer side of things, I'm just going to have a look if we've got it. Now, everybody, please, QQQs, come on, we've got Brandon here. We're going to get him back again because he's just a charming, awesome man, and I love the way he does business.
Also, there's only 19... We only have 19 likes and 41 people are watching.
Yeah, what's going on?
That number should be way higher. Like, way higher.
Yeah. Come on, don't you like Brandon? Come on.
That's not for me. That's for Matt. Like, that's for the YouTube algorithm. If you guys like Matt doing these live streams, trust me, as somebody that used to do lives, YouTube will crush Matt if there's not a lot of likes. So
there you go. You heard it from Brandon.
Button.
Just fall on it. Just fall on it casually, like you're leaning over to pick up your cup of coffee off the desk. Here you go. Although mine's a tea. Jay Blue has said, I have no doubt that RED will continue to be a vital technological contributor to Nikon, and Nikon will continue to invest in the development of RED products and solutions. Absolutely agree. Jay, do you have any theories on why they might have moved on Mark Roberts? Give us some of your theories about that. We've got my 28-135 rarely leaves my ZR. So light. Yeah, have you played with the zoom lens, Brandon?
I finally did. So when we were on that feature shoot, we had some downtime, and one of the I don't know if you've heard of the brand Condor Blue, but they make a bunch of great products for like rigging. They were like one of the sponsors that kind of basically footed some of the bill so that the feature could be made. And Lucas, the owner of Condor Blue, he was there with the ZR, and he had that lens. And I've been interested in that lens, and it's weirdly light. It's a really, really nice lens, and I totally understand. Like, if you put that lens on the ZR, you probably wouldn't need it to leave. It's a fantastic lens.
And I love that we've got that little tiny zoom rocker on the ZR, which I don't use very much. I love that lens too, and I've been very close to buying it a few times. I'd love it to be slightly faster than the F4, but I can probably live with it.
Yeah.
I mean, of course, it's going to get bigger, isn't it? If we make it less than an F4. Now, if you were designing the next ZR, or the camera that sits between the ZR and the Komodo X, which I'm guessing is going to, we're going to see something else in I would say the next 12 months or something. What would you like to? How would you like to see the ZR tweaked, or a camera in between?
I think there I would say that Nikon needs to like address some of the current issues before they move on to the next camera. And so I will give you what I would like to see in this current camera. in the next one that I think the camera would just rock if they did. And it's hardly any of it would be performance-based stuff. Obviously, a Z8 sensor would be cool if they could like get that type of performance out of it, but that's not huge on the priority for me. Ultimately, I would like the camera to be more red than
Yes.
what it is currently, because it's like
Yep.
95% Nikon and 5% red. I would love there to be just an actual legitimate R3D codec, not the NE. I would like there to be the ELQ or LQ compression. Shooting documentary on the ZR was rough on data. It was huge, just absolutely huge. I would love to see the integration of this camera into the RED Control app. That app is so freaking good and just takes the versatility and usability of like the KX and the Raptor X like through the roof. You can do so much cool stuff with them on that side. An EVF I would love to see. Obviously, a more professional video out in, whether that's SDI, or I would assume it would be HDMI. I don't think it would come with SDI, but full size HDMI. This monitor is going to, like, people are already saying, like, this needs to be the standard. And I agree, this isn't a fantastic monitor, but there are times where you still need to plug in an HDMI. And so when you're stuck with a micro HDMI, it's just sketchy. They break, and you break that little port, and all of a sudden you got to like send your camera in. So those are more of the things that I would like to see before they moved on to another camera. Oh, a big one for me would be it would be a big ask, but I would love for there to be photo, Nikon, video, it goes to RED. The RED has such a fantastic and easy menu, and there are just things that you can do inside that menu that you just can't do in here. So that's, yeah, I kind of want to just be like, hey, can we find a middle ground between RED and Nikon with the next camera? Or, I mean, all that stuff that I've asked for really is, other than the EVF software anyway. So an update down the road would be sick.
Yeah, well, I mean, they've already publicly said that they're going to give us ProRes Lite, I believe, which makes me think that the RED 12-bit Lite NE will probably come as well. I'm hoping, because I think that's going to make a lot of people very happy. Very happy.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, what sort of bit rate, like file size or bit rate, would you like to see? What's does it need to be half the size or a third of the size before you're comfortable?
So ELQ in the KX, I shoot everything in ELQ, and I've never had anybody go, this is poor, like I'm seeing compression artifacts, or this is poor quality. And that is technically, I want to say, a third of the size. I think it's a little over 500 megabytes a second, whereas like the R3D NE is just a smidge over 1500. So that, I mean, that's what I would like, and that is like my daily driver. I mean, like I'm shooting RED, and the Monstro has different compression rates. Like I'm shooting at 15:1, typically what I'm doing. But the other day I shot something at 22:1, and it looks fantastic. So yeah, I would like the options. It is the thing that I see. The single biggest reason why people are returning that camera is now that SSDs and media has skyrocketed because of AI and their needs for it, people are like, I just can't use this camera anymore because I don't have the hard drive space for it. So if they did it, I think it would be a super smart move. Like, give us something that still looks really good. ELQ would do that. Save us hard drive space.
I hear you, and I agree, and I think pretty much everybody has said it. And the fact that they've publicly talked about the ProRes Lite version makes me feel pretty excited that it's going to come. Do you have any visibility on the fact that normally the more you compress, the more processing power is required to do those calculations on the fly, and I wonder if the tiny little ZR, I mean, you think of how small it
Yeah,
is
I hear
compared
you.
to a Komodo or a Raptor, and whether that's an issue. Otherwise, if there isn't a hardware issue, then I reckon it'll happen. That's what I think. And
Yeah.
you go.
No, I was just gonna say, like, I am not so familiar with Nikon's processors, but I do know that when I had a conversation with somebody high up at Red, one of their one of the reasons they were so excited about the sale was simply like how much better their processors were than Red's. Like, they made it sound like Nikon had incredible processors that could handle so much more. So for me,
Mm.
I can't see it being a processing issue. Maybe it's a thermal
Yep.
issue.
Yep.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yep. No, no. Well, look, I don't think ProRes is easy to throw around either. So I'm guessing
No,
we'll
it's
see
not.
both. Now Raymond's asked a question: when do we think the next major ZR firmware will drop? Firmware 2, I think, will
Ooh.
happen around the year mark, and the year mark, I think, when did we launch? Was it October? September.
October.
It was September, October, somewhere around there. So that's
Oh,
my
yeah.
guess. Ray. We've got
I
some other
Man, I would
questions here.
love if it showed up before NAB. I will tell you that I signed like a 3-year NDA with Nikon. So if I knew, I couldn't tell you anyway.
Oh, wow. A 3-year NDA.
That's what they got me for.
Wow, that's amazing. They
Some
just get me to
long-term
sign.
NDA.
I just get to sign them for each thing that happens. So that's cool. Wow.
Well, that's what had happened, and then my contact here in the States was like, "Did we have you sign a long term?" And I was like, I don't know." And then they sent me over one, and Nikon's NDAs are pretty serious, and I was like, "Wow,
They
3
are
years,
serious.
okay."
They are serious. Well, we won't ask you any more questions about things that you may or may not know anything
Oh, you
about.
can. I'll just say Here's the other thing about Nikon that I really wish they would improve. I think they're a little too too white knuckled about giving out info to
Mm-hmm.
people in our space that help promote their products or do videos. Like
Yep.
the last firmware update, I found out like 48 hours before it happened. I'm like, I can't, that's not enough time for me to like make a video on this. I
Yep.
wish they would actually let us know like maybe a month in advance so that we
Yep.
could get it and make a really good video on it and make sure that we're thorough and so that when we give out the information, we don't look like idiots on their behalf. So Nikon, if you're watching, maybe loosen up just a smidge so we can do a better job for you.
Hallelujah. I mean, it's got to be after all this time. They know where we stand, so they should be
Yeah.
feeling comfortable. Anyway, another question. Is there a good shoulder rig for the ZR? It's why I asked about the EVF for the ZR earlier, because me and my
Oh.
brother are wanting to make one for videoing sports. That's from Benjamin again.
Yeah. It's kind of out of my realm, but I do know that people really like the Casbah system, and I believe that's from Bright Tangerine.
Okay.
I would check that out.
A lot of people, Hulkman says, a lot of people want a box style Cinema ZR, but I feel at the point it would probably cost and be pretty much a Komodo. A Komodo with Nikon AF and IBIS would be great. Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
for sure. I would
think
just say make that a red.
I half think that we might get an FX30 style, so you get the Komodo sensor in a ZR sort of body. That might happen.
Yeah, I mean, I purely out of needing. I think for the wildlife community that would be pretty dope, or like sports action, like somebody that needs the extra reach, and so the APS-C sensor makes more sense, especially like global. I can
Yep.
totally see them doing that for sure.
Yeah,
But I
yeah.
think the beauty of the ZR is like it is just a power nugget. It's so tiny and so freaking powerful. So I wouldn't, like, if you're going to make it bigger on me, I would probably go, why don't I just buy the bigger thing anyway that's already optimized for that kind of workflow?
Oh yeah. No. The FX30 would still be the FX30 style size thing.
Yeah,
And
gotcha.
the box thing, I don't think we need a ZR box that exists as a Komodo.
Yeah.
So we've got through Joe's lens saying, I'm hoping they announce a firmware update right before NAB next month. Yes, well, there might be a 1.5. There's a good chance there'll be an interim update before the year mark.
Yeah, I mean, I would love to see it. NAB is going to be a pretty big deal, and I would love to have something to talk about on the ZR front for that, but who knows? I don't know. I
Yeah.
like it's interesting because I think a lot of us that love these cameras so much and really do want to see them improve, so few of us have any sort of understanding as to how long some of these updates actually take, regardless of how simple they seem on the surface. I'm a huge, staunch criticizer of them sending out a camera that was basically half baked, and then they're like, we're gonna use firmware updates to like make it whole. Like, not having focus peaking on R3D with a view assist just seems asinine. But if I take a step back and go, what happens like in the cascade of things if they actually make that work? Like, I know we got a little red line in this update, which is nice when it comes to like seeing where the clipping point actually is in R3D. And I'm like, why didn't we also get focus peaking in R3D? I have no idea how long it takes for that to actually happen. It seems easy, but at the same time it could take a year. So I don't know. I try to
Yeah,
give
look,
them the
we've talked.
benefit of the doubt.
It's something that I've talked a fair bit about, firmware and the immense complexities of firmware. And then the other thing that we have to think about when it comes to firmware is in a tension with a release schedule. And so, and when you think about a release schedule, they might have to lock down the firmware 6 months before we actually get it in our hands. And
Yeah.
so it's like, can we get these extra features in, or are we going to launch the camera? And at some point they've got to say, well, look, we've added 12 things that are kind of Red-esque into the ZR. We want to add another 12, but it's going to push the launch by 6 months. And then they just go, well, we're drawing a line in the sand. But interesting. It's interesting to see how very quickly they gave us actually kind of 6 more real things in that 1.1 update.
Yeah.
You know, we got record times extended to 6 hours. We got that red line. We got wired time code through the audio port, and a couple of other things I can't quite remember right now. They're actually all real updates that, you know, require testing and so on. So my belief is these companies work at such a rate to keep up with each other that they absolutely, there's you know, a few people sitting in a room going, we're going to have to chuck this now. And which ones are people going to complain about the most? We don't know. So yeah, I don't think it's pig-headedness or bloody-mindedness. I think it's they're you know, trying to give us things that, I mean, from my perspective, who's not shooting cinema as at high a level as you are, I feel like the ZR is such an amazing gateway camera. You know, the fact that because I thought about buying a Red about 7 years ago, right? And then I'm like, you know, I'm not on Canon mount, and you know, all the reasons that it wasn't going to work for me. And then suddenly I've got access to Red. And it's like, honestly, from a camera perspective, not from an everyday person's perspective, but from a camera's perspective, it is so affordable. And then, you know, as we've talked about, dynamic range, showmamic range, the camera's fantastic. Like, I had the Z6 before, the Z6 III beforehand, got the same sensor, blah, blah. So to me, it's about the opportunity it creates for people who've never been in that space before. And so for me, I feel like I'm jumping a long way forwards and it's like, oh wow, I'm halfway to red now, you know, and before I wasn't anywhere near red. And if in the next year or two I'm all the way to red with this little camera, so that's the direction I look at it from. And all of the things that you said, I want to see all of that stuff as well. And another thing you said in your video is the camera needs a few more external buttons as well. And I agree with that. It needs a couple more. It doesn't have very many.
Yeah, I like, one of the reasons I gravitate to Leica is just how minimal it is. But in that particular situation, I think one of my, I mean, if Nikon was watching and I was like, hey, legitimately, it's nice that we're able to customize buttons, but what sucks is how limited or how few options we have to customize. Like, I think it's kind of weird that we can't just toggle on and off some things. Like, we actually do have to go into the menu to do that. Now, this is very niche, but it happened. Taking off gloves in -40 is risky. Like, I don't want to do it. But if I have to, just so I can switch a profile, I would love to just do that on a button. So one of those things when you're like, hey, what would you like to see in the next one? Like, take the training wheels off. Like, give us the ability to just, like, I'm long pressing this button. I don't have to go in the menu. It brings up the menu. Everything I could possibly think of could be available to customize that button. I don't like this idea of, like, we'll let you choose, but here are the things you can choose from. That kind of, like, rubs me the wrong way.
Yeah, I agree with that. Have you tried using the MCN10 external grip? I use it on mine. I love it.
Lots of people have suggested it to me.
Yeah. You go.
There was a question, if you don't mind me tackling it. Somebody said,
Go.
Hulkman says, do you really, I hope I'm not getting too far ahead, but I just noticed it. Do you really notice a big difference between 16-bit and 12-bit? Yes, but not in the way that you're thinking. The difference in color between 12-bit and 16-bit, you're probably not going to notice. I mean, depending on the monitor, you're probably not going to notice it. Where you do notice it, though, is editing. Like, the editing experience between the actual R3D codec and this R3D NE is wildly different. Like, I can stack clip upon clip of Monstro 8K 60 and it's smooth as butter. 1 or 2 clips on my M4 Pro or whatever Studio of just the ZR, and it will get kind of choppy. So the reason I want the real one is because the codec just plays so much better.
Interesting. And is that, why does the 16-bit play better than the 12-bit?
I mean, the R3D NE isn't really R3D. It's
Nikon
if
RAW.
I remember right. It's like it's like Tico RAW that they've, like,
Tico RAW.
Toyed around with. So there's a very real different editing experience between those two codecs. So the reason I'm like, can you put that codec in there, is because it's so much smoother on my computer.
Interesting. Giorsetti has asked, it sure seems like all television documentaries are very cinematic looking than ever before, especially Netflix series Homicide New York was beautifully shot. Do you agree?
I'm not sure if he's asking that I agree that all television documentaries are more cinematic, or Homicide New York was beautifully shot. Haven't seen Homicide New York, but yeah, I mean, I think documentaries are looked at more like cinema now more than ever, and there are some that are just absolutely gorgeous, and the level that they go to in production rivals just about any movie other than the size of crew and the budget that they're working with. Personally, I love it. Like, I'm getting more and more into documentaries, and it's such an interesting space to be in. And they really are, like, when you look at some of those interviews, Mark Bone did a video with a guy that had probably the most cinematic documentary ever made, and, like, you look at some of those interviews and they're like, oh my gosh, this is Deakins Fraser level cinematography for an interview.
Yeah, well, I wonder if the access to more affordable cinematic equipment is allowing documentarians, which usually have less budgets, to just basically create. You get a ZR and a couple of nice anamorphic lenses or something, and you're off and running.
For sure.
Basically, Raymond's asking, what do you think of the Instagram CEO Adam Mosseri's contention that the future is in crappy production values to compete with AI? Are we wasting our time perfecting our imagery? I think we are not wasting our time.
If he's, yeah, I don't know if he's saying crappy. I think what he means is there's an authenticity to some of the lesser production, like what comes out of your phone looks more authentic. And I do think that people are craving authenticity. And I think that that's how they're just associating authenticity. Like if something came out of a cinema camera that filmed your favorite movie, you probably wouldn't look at that image and think that's real life. But for me, that my job and my goal is to make things look as good as they possibly can. I'm really interested in that skill and the education that goes into it, understanding light and stuff like that. So for me, if my job was Instagram, I would probably pay more attention to it, but it's not. So I understand where he's coming from, but it's not something that I'm going to subscribe to as far as what I do on YouTube or in my career.
Now, Brandon, you came to YouTube in this new iteration to pursue photography, and I've seen Hasselblad on your channel and the Hasselblad HD 100, whatever. I see Leica.
Yeah.
But obviously you've taken, tell us a little bit about where you feel photography is for you, because we've spoken all about video pretty much in this video.
Yeah.
And what are these two versions of you? There's obviously two versions, and the photography one's taken a bit of a back seat or something. I don't know. You tell us what's going on.
Yeah, it's interesting. I was doing a lot of thinking about this today, actually. I was in the car driving around, and when it came to volleyball, me pursuing volleyball, it was very much I am making this happen because a lot of people are telling me I can't do it, and I kind of forced it. And I think I've done that a few other times in my life where I've forced something to happen. I've willed it into existence.
Love it.
Photography is very special to me, more so than just going around and taking pretty photos. It's kind of saved my life in a couple of ways. Not to get emotional on you, I can feel it welling up. But just for my mental health, photography is like a cornerstone of my mental health. It's very precious. But I am somebody that feels that if you are born lucky enough to have a fully functioning body and you want to get better at something, then it's not just oh yeah, it's kind of fun, let's get better. I'm that's the thing I have to do. It is a weird point in my life where I'm going, is that really what you need right now? This forcing this idea of becoming a photographer, because I would love to get to a point where I could call myself a photographer, where I could develop the skills to where I'm comfortable saying it and not feeling like I'm doing a disservice to actual photographers. But there are opportunities that are coming into my life that are so remarkably good, and I should be thankful for them. If I were to kick those to the curb so that I could make photography happen and devote the time to photography, I think I would regret that. And so right now, I am just, to quote, what's his name? Alan Tudyk. He was in a movie Serenity, and he's the pilot of the ship, and he just says, I'm a leaf on the wind. Yeah. And I'm just trying to be a leaf on the wind right now. And it's listen, at some point, nobody's going to want to see you on their TV or on their computer or on their phone. So until that happens, maybe you should just take these awesome opportunities, and when your time has come and that season has passed, then maybe attack the photography thing. But right now I'm trying to get better, but at the same time understanding that it's okay that I don't devote as much time to it right now as I would like.
Brandon, you just said so many amazing and beautiful things there, and you've spoke to us from your heart. And you opened with photography being the cornerstone of your mental health, one of the cornerstones. I can absolutely concur with that, and I think probably almost everybody in this chat, the people that are part of my community, would feel the same way. So, thank you so much for being so candid
Yeah.
and open about that. And I also completely understand, as someone too who's been self-employed my entire life since I was 19 years of age, when I started my business, that sometimes we have to take a left turn and walk away from the thing that's most important to us because opportunities have arisen. And I think that's part of the entrepreneurial spirit, which is critical to be a creator. And creator to me is almost a dirty word today. And I've said it in a recent video that 20 years ago, I wasn't called a creator. I was called a creative. You are a creative person. And creator is just sort of the not so advancement of exactly the same word. And it's critical that if you pursue a creative life, then you have to be mindful enough to pursue the opportunities that keep bread on the table as well. And so I really, really deeply respect and understand how articulately you just said what's going on there. The one thing I have to disagree with is I don't think anyone will get sick of seeing your face. So please, please don't say that.
No, I'm aging at a pretty rapid rate right now.
I tell you, I hear you, man. I hear you. When I started YouTube, I was a different human, and I hate traveling through the part that I'm traveling through now. But we all suffer the same thing, and it's all about grit and determination. And clearly, you've got mountains of that. There's so much more I want to talk to you about, and this is such a beautiful, holistic part of the conversation. That's not about gear and
I like it.
not about specs and not about all those sorts of things. So how can we pivot into that more deeply? I suppose. Tell me then, because I've always said that my photographic eye works in both stills and in moving pictures. So I don't really mind because I'm actually doing the same thing. Does that resonate with you?
For sure. I tend to see, if you get to like watch some of the stuff that I've done in the past and the videos where I share photos within that video, you'll almost always see like a cinemascope aspect ratio, 3:1, X-pan, whatever you want to call it. And that's just because most of the stuff that I see, I get in movie scenes. Like, grew up with, that cinemascope aspect ratio. The anamorphic look is something that like really gravitates to me. So on almost every camera, we'll just test this, see if I'm a liar or not.
Oh, there's a Hasselblad.
Is there a battery on this one? No, this my Leica, and something's going on with this lens. But as you can see, it's like an X-pan crop ratio. That's just how I see things. And so I love movies. I really do. Like I'm not super huge nerd and technical, and I understand the nuances of like what the little kid crossing the bridge means when he's just like transferring from one life to another. I don't get that deep into it, and frankly, I don't think I'm smart enough to see that deeply into a movie. But I love the commitment and how many people it takes to make a great movie, and how easy it is to make a really shitty movie. But for me, growing up in like the Indiana Jones, Blade Runner era, that's the image that comes to my mind when I think of cinematic. And when I take a photo, that's generally like the aspect ratio that I see it in. And so I have a camera on me always. When I shot that feature, there was still a camera draped around my neck. And as soon as they said cut, if there was an opportunity for a good shot, I would take it. So I'm constantly kind of like balancing between the two of like what makes a great still frame, and maybe that great still frame is how you get a great motion, some great like cinematic looking footage. But yeah, I don't know. I think at this point I'm just kind of rambling, but I love both and I'm trying to get better at both.
Well, I think there's a certain degree of it that's innate, and it's certainly innate in you. I don't know if you know Seth Miranda, but he's here in the chat. Lovely to have you here, Seth. And
I
he said,
I've
"Oh, this
is
guy is
Seth
good."
from Adorama? Is that
Yes,
Seth?
Seth. Yes, that's
Yeah,
Seth.
okay, I know Seth.
Yeah,
I
cool.
don't know
Yeah, no,
him
he's been
personally,
a
but I
part
see
of
him.
he's been part of my world for years, and it's great. I keep trying to lure him onto this live chat, but I never get him here. Oh, he's pulled out a book. I'm excited. Dune.
If you want to
Is this
see
like?
great cinematography with
Yeah.
fantastic photography, the Dune book from Craig Fraser is, man, this thing just keeps me up at night. Like I see
Is
these
that
photos and
is
I go, one day if I can get to that level.
and that's set photography?
Yeah, so I don't know how it happened. I've heard conflicting stories of how it happened. But this book is done by the DP of Dune 1 and 2,
Yep.
Greg
Yep.
Fraser, an Aussie like yourself.
Yep.
Just these incredible photos that he's shot on a myriad of different cameras, medium format, film. But it's set photography unlike anything else that I've seen. I'm also a huge fan of course I say huge fan, then I immediately forget his name. But he's a Nikon ambassador, and he's a set photographer, and he's done
Jason
every major
Boland.
movie. Yeah, that's him, Jason.
Yep.
They're
I've interviewed
wildly
Jason a few
different
times.
types. Dude, God, like that guy
Yeah.
he's royalty
Legend.
to me. But
Yep.
this style of set photography is just very different. It's very, very different. It's very intimate, and it's not polished. I think
Yep.
that's why I gravitated to so much. It's just harsh and like real, but it's also got Josh Brolin did all of like the accompany like
Oh,
text
wow.
to it,
Yep.
and Josh is quite good with words. Unlike
Yep.
myself, he's a wordsmith and he's very articulate. So it's just, this is kind of the book that I keep coming back to, and I go, that's really good. Like, that's really inspiring, and I would love to be able to put together a piece of work like this someday. Obviously, I'll never have the opportunity to do something like this, but just having physical work that is this good at some point, that's one of those things, the boxes that I need to check before I go, I'm a photographer.
Well, you never know. I'm just while you were speaking, I'm showing the trailer to Dune 3 that dropped a few days ago. I'm very excited to see Dune 3 at the end of this year.
Stoked.
Maybe they'll go on to make some another trilogy, and you can be a set photographer. But yes, look, it sounds like we are cut from very, very similar stones. I often quote Blade Runner as the seed, as the thing that kind of switched on my cinematic brain.
Mm-hmm.
And Ridley Scott is probably my all-time favorite. When you look back at the art direction that was inside of Alien, and what's interesting about Alien is that when I first saw it, it was probably on a really little television, and it was really hard to see. And now you go back and watch Alien, and it's even better than it was when I watched it the first time. And they obviously get to clean up the prints and make everything look better. But yeah, isn't it interesting how cinema spoke to us? And the reason that I turned to photography was because cinema was so expensive back in 1980 whatever, when I thought, what am I going to do for a living down here in Australia, where there's hardly, compared to Hollywood in the US, there's hardly anything made. And if you want to buy an SP Betacam or an RES R2 16mm film camera, you've the better part of $100,000. Well, how the hell's a 19-year-old going to do that? So I turned my visual eye to still photography, where I could buy a K1000 for $300 and the worst Kiron lens for $280, and thus my career started. So but Blade Runner, Ridley Scott, just everything that he was doing back in that era just absolutely blew my mind.
It's kind of fun as a stepdad, getting to kind of like relive those moments with my kid and be like, oh, we have
Yeah.
kind of like a list of the movies that are much, must watch. And we're in the Adam Sandler, Will Ferrell comedy phase, but every once in a while I get to sneak in something like Raiders of the Lost Ark in it. And it's
Nice.
what's really cool is when he sees an old movie, something's 40 years old and it still holds up today. And he's like, that was really good. You're like, that's because it's a really good movie,
Yeah, yeah. Seth has also said, I'll get, because he's responding to me saying, I want him to be here. And he's written, I'll get there when I'm not slammed against the wall. But tell Brandon to keep going. He does legit good videos, solid insight. I'm into it.
Oh, that's super nice. Thank you, Seth.
Seth's
I'll do my
an
best.
absolute legend. Man, trust me, you're on the right path. And you said earlier that you like to visualize. You've visualized certain careers in your life. We'll have to talk about volleyball another day, but it sounds like you're visualizing this. Like you were when you're signing a 3-year NDA with Nikon. That's quite a visualization, I reckon.
Well, that's the thing. There are things that I have visualized that are starting to come to pass, which floors me because I am so freaking lucky and privileged because this is something I just decided to tackle last year. To get some of these opportunities within a year, it's just sheer dumb luck. Now, I understand that luck is like, you have to be prepared to take advantage of that luck. But there are plenty of things that are happening that aren't visualized because like I just didn't ever think that something like this would happen. Ever since getting into Red has been a brand that I've always wanted to work with, and just in the weirdest of ways, like getting to be friends with Jared and meeting like a bunch of the people at Red, and then now I'm gonna go do this panel with Red and NAB. That blows my mind. And yesterday I had a call with Leica, not for any sort of super secret stuff. They just wanted to talk and like kind of help me educate me about these like APO primes because there's some really cool stuff in here. And I was like, wow, I'm talking to like the photography brand that I resonate with the most. Those are things that were never ever on my radar. They were not things that I was like actively trying to visualize because it just didn't seem possible. But yeah, it's hard to not sit here and just be almost overwhelmed with like gratitude of like these really weird things because I make adequate videos for the internet.
Well, you deliver the goods, which is something that I believe in, and you seem like a genuine bloke, which I think is really important. And and in this world full of a lot of BS and and no ego. Like no, look, we all need to have ego, as in the technical psychiatric term ego, but not an artificially inflated ego. Yeah.
Well, like, bro, I really suck compared to a lot of people out there. Like, it's hard to have an ego when you're really not that good. I watched something like Project Hail Mary, and I'm like, God damn, that was amazing. What do I do again? And then I look at some of the footage, and I'm like, yeah, you suck so bad. Like, you have so much work to do.
Brandon, come on. Half the time the videos we make or the things we do are on no budget, and you're talking about a $200 million film.
Well, that is my warped sense of competitive standards. Yeah. So
sure. Mine too. I'm trying to create Blade Runner here on my scooter with a backpack riding around in the middle of the night, and I'm trying to create the same thing on no budget. You and I are the same like that. Let's try and meet Ridley Scott at his level with nothing. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But I wanted to say,
I am going to try to. Have you seen Project Hail Mary yet?
No, but I'm going to see it next Tuesday.
Okay, I won't spoil it for you, but there's a scene that when you watch, you'll just be like floored, and when you learn that it was shot practically, it's all done in camera,
Nice.
you'll be even more floored.
Yep.
We're gonna try to recreate that because like the Monstro is set up in such a way that we can. So I'm hoping in this particular case we're gonna have a shoestring budget and we're gonna try to recreate that scene. We'll see. We'll see
Wow.
what happens. If it comes out worth watching, I'll send you it.
I think I need to come and live in America because we just don't. There's just not as many people like us around in Australia as there is in the US, and I feel like sometimes I'm in the wrong country.
They've all been
send
killed off by poisonous spiders and snakes.
Snakes. Yeah, come to Australia, you might accidentally get killed. That's a song a friend of mine wrote.
Jingle.
Yeah.
Australia is actually like my dream, like vacation because of all of the poisonous snakes. Like I love animals and I love reptiles specifically, and just the amount of snakes that can kill you there just intrigues the shit out of me.
Well, interestingly, I've been here for, quite a long time, many decades, and I haven't been bitten by a snake yet. So, come, you'll be fine. I have seen a few
Knocking on wood
brown
for you.
snakes, and
Yeah.
sorry, say that. Yeah, you knock on wood. Thank you very much. I got a bit of IKEA wood in front of me here. Is that real wood? I'm not sure. I just wanted to say I put together the thumbnail for this video and I said, meet Brandon, he's cool, and he's like saying, no, that's not true. And I'm like, I think we've worked out and we've just proved in this video that I was correct. My vibes, my spidey senses were absolutely correct. Now there's one last thing. I can't believe we've gone 90 minutes already or whatever it's been, but there's one last question I want to ask you before we do this again in the not too distant future. John has asked Brandon's list of greatest movies. Now that's a really hard one. I don't expect you to give me your greatest list, but a few that because just a few that
I
you
can
love.
give you like favorite movies within genres. I don't know if I have like a greatest list.
Sure.
Probably for sentimental values, one of my favorite movies of all time is Back to the Future. That was a movie I would watch with my mom like on a pretty consistent basis. And funny enough that the song, the famous song from there, The Power of Love, I would compete in jiu-jitsu. I've done jiu-jitsu for about 10 years, and I compete pretty regularly at it. I used to. That was my pump-up song, was The Power of Love from Back to the Future. People were like, what is he listening to there? He's just like rocking out on it. Power of Love, Huey Lewis in the News.
Yeah, nice. Huey Lewis. If I started singing it, would you start doing some jiu-jitsu moves for me? What does jiu-jitsu look like?
It's all on the ground. You wouldn't even see me. You're like, where do you go?
Okay, all right. I don't know. Yeah, all right. Next time, we'll get a B cam set up.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I could have. I can run up to 4.
Yeah.
Let's see. As far as comedies go, this is going to be an obscure one, and people are going to be like, that guy's an idiot. I've lost all respect for him. But there was a movie called Kung Pao. Have you ever seen that?
I've heard of it. What's
the stupidest, most random movie ever, but it's freaking hilarious.
Okay.
So
anything else you want to add?
Basically, what happened is Steve Odekirk, who I think did Dumb and Dumber, but anyway, he took like a real 1970s like Chinese kung fu movie, removed all of the dialogue, all of the audio, removed the main actor's face, put his face on it, and then did all new audio to it. And it's,
oh wow, I gotta see that.
It's just slapstick and dumb, and it makes me cry every time I watch it. I find it so funny. So that would be kind of like in the comedy side of things. Oh, man,
science fiction.
Dune 2 is really up there. Lord of the Rings, that trilogy for me, I can watch all the time, every time. It's kind of like a mainstay whenever I fly, as I put my Apple Vision Pro on and watch Lord of the Rings.
Oh, you have one of those. I'm so jealous.
Oh, yeah. Dude, that's like...
Is it good?
That changed my life. I use it all the time.
Okay. And so watching movies in it is the best way to watch movies, do you reckon?
Oh, dude, I hate flying. And I have to take a lot of medication for it. But if I can put one of those
I hate it too.
on, I just turn the little dial and you can't see anybody. I'm just like sitting on top of like a Hawaiian volcano with the cloud cover underneath me.
Nice.
and watch like Formula One. Oh, I'm telling you
Yeah.
right now, it will change the way you fly if you get an Apple Vision Pro. And then when you have to edit videos in a hotel and you got to use this stupid little laptop screen, no, just replace it with a massive screen from your Apple Vision Pro. Yeah.
Oh my
it'll change
God.
your life.
So it does actually that does actually work. Okay. They're $6,000
Oh,
here,
it
but you
does.
might have sold me on it.
Whoa.
You might have sold me on it.
Bro,
Yeah, I know.
That's a lot.
It
I'm trying to
hurts.
think, what
It
else?
hurts. What Black Hawk Down? That's a film I love.
Dude, great movie. I was gonna say Star Wars. Star Wars
yeah,
2,
Star Wars,
Empire
yeah.
Strikes Back, or Rogue One. Rogue One is just
Man, Rogue One.
gorgeous.
I just watched all of the series for Rogue One. What's that called again?
Oh yeah,
It's so
Dude,
good.
The TV show is epic. I was specifically talking about a new.
The movie.
I think it's A New Hope. I can't. Yeah, the movie that Fraser shot. But man, sorry, it's Andor. Andor season
Andor,
1, season
yeah.
2 were
That's
freaking
unbelievable, and the
incredible.
movie, of course. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So those would be up there. Like I said, Dune 2 is pretty freaking far up the list. The original Jurassic Park is something I can watch over and over. Goonies is super fun.
Nice.
Yeah.
And last question from me, because I think we could just do
Yeah.
this all day. Do you watch any TV series, and what have you been into, like streaming?
Yeah, we do. Me and it's kind of funny. So a lot of the shows that I watch with my wife that we kind of have like TV monogamy over is we watch a lot of cooking shows, actually. So Great British Bake
Nice.
Off
Yep.
is just such a breath of fresh air compared to everything else. And now I'm gonna go complete opposite. the stuff that makes you feel icky when you watch it. There was a show with I think Tanner Edgerton. It was called Blackbird. It's
Yes.
a guy that gets busted and he has to go into the prison system as kind of like a spy of sorts for the FBI, and he's got to monitor a person that's convicted of killing people, but they don't know for sure, and they need more information to like really put him away forever because his parole is coming up. That series was incredible. A series we just finished with Jason Bateman and Jude Law called Black Rabbit. Freaking phenomenal. One of the
that's
best
good.
shows
Okay.
I've seen in a long time.
Yeah. Okay.
The Bear.
There's two
The
fantastic
Bear, I
recommendations.
really
The
liked.
Bear. You know, I
Yeah.
started watching season 4 of The Bear, and I couldn't get into it. But I liked it beforehand.
Yeah. Yeah, season 1 and season 2 definitely are kind of like prolific for me. Season 3 was still really good, but season 4 I would agree was kind of a harder one to get into. The new one, Paradise. I'm really enjoying Paradise.
Oh, yes. Yes. Are you up to the latest episode?
No,
Have you watched
sir,
7?
don't ruin it for me. I will
I won't
fly
ruin
over
it.
there and punch you right in the chin.
And fair enough. A friend of mine ruined Twin Peaks for me. He ruined Twin Peaks. He told me who killed Laura Palmer before I'd had time to watch it. And that is so many years ago, and I still haven't forgiven this man.
Nor should you.
Yeah. I mean, you can't mess with these cliffhangers. Mate, I feel like we could talk forever, and we're going to do this again.
It's been a pleasure.
But I
Yeah.
want to say it's been so amazing to get to know you, because everybody might not
Thank
know,
you.
but basically
Same.
this is the first time you're seeing Brandon and I hang out. We had
Yeah,
like 10,
first
15
interaction.
minutes before we came on, but bloody awesome, mate. And thank you so much.
Thank
Keep
you.
up the good work. And we can now share things behind the scenes and whatever else, and I can't wait to get you back on here. And
You've got my number.
Please.
Whenever you need
Yeah.
anything, hit me up.
thank you very much. Likewise, I don't know what I can do for you, but likewise, come here, come see some snakes, and
Oh man,
you must check. Go check out his channel and give him some love if you're not already a subscriber. It's a great channel. And he's always what I love about you is you're always trying to do things a bit different. You're trying to get different angles, and I mean on story
That's
ideas
the
on
ADHD,
YouTube.
man.
Yeah. Well, it's also important, I think, that we, try and do things a little bit different, because this is such a busy space. I mean, we could talk about that for another half an hour, how hard it is just doing the YouTube
It's hard
grind.
to stand
but we won't
out
get
here.
into that
Yeah,
now.
for sure.
Yeah. Well, it must be working, because you're doing well.
Thank you, sir. It's been a pleasure. And thanks for everybody that joined. I mean, there was a ton of people in the chat, and I'm stoked. I would love to do this again.
Good on you, mate. All right. Well, thank you again, everybody. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here. Please don't forget to give us a like, because as Brandon says, that helps the algorithm. We'll see you all soon. Take care. Bye.